Yeah, I didn't plan to run until we got the results that we did in the national elections, and especially because of the new coalition government. So I think probably both in Estonia and in Europe, the kind of fight with right-wing populism is going to be the most important issue of our time, really, I think, for our generation. So I'm running to be more effective at it. Well, the big question is, of course, is just basically the future of Europe, and if we're going to have more basic freedoms in Europe or less of them, because there are pretty strong forces that want to turn back the developments that we've had so far. But in relation to that, I think it's pretty important to look at how these new digital platforms like Facebook or Google or other this kind of digital, they always call them platforms or publishers, but it's actually kind of an extension of our physical space into the digital world. So I think one of the main issues is how they are regulated. Let me put it a bit differently. So the basic freedoms of the EU is movement of people and services and goods and capital. And do we need less or more friction? I think we definitely need less friction. So I definitely would make it easier for people to change countries and live this kind of nomadic lifestyle where maybe they're staying in different cities in 1 year. So I'm worried about all the trends that are pointing towards making Europe less free for movement of people. First of all, the interpretation that a lot of people are really left behind is just plain wrong. If you look at living standards across Europe, or even in Eastern Europe, here in Estonia, they have been growing steadily. So, if people really compare what it was like, I don't know, what healthcare was like 15 to 20 years ago, or what infrastructure was like 15 to 20 years ago, or what public transport or any other services were like 15 to 20 years ago, there are huge improvements, even for the people that are that don't make a lot of money. So I wouldn't say that's the issue. And also, well, you asked about should we have more integration or less. So it depends on which area. If we look at, for instance, financial policy, then the fact that we have a common currency kind of points us towards the fact that we maybe should have more integration in terms of financial policy. But in other areas, I think maybe we should be quite conservative about delegating everything upwards. There are so many things that are best solved on the immediate level or the lowest possible level of governance. And thirdly, I think what you're pointing to is the kind of rising inequality that we've got, not only in Europe, but in the rest of the Western world. And this is a problem, and it's mainly to do with this kind of neoliberal idea of not regulating markets, or that any kind of regulation is bad. And as I said, in terms of these social media platforms, we're seeing the negative effects of that, as we speak. So there always has to be a good balance between regulation and then financial freedom. I think actually Europe could be highly competitive in terms of creating new technologies for a greener environment. And Estonia could actually be a remarkable success story here, because for a country to have a success story, you kind of need to be in trouble first. So the narrative has to be that the state of things is very bad and that it improves. And if we look at the environmental impact of our economy today and how we produce energy, then there's no hiding the fact that Estonia is in a bad place. So if we were to be kind of the standard bearers of more sensible economic policies, and especially in the field of advanced technologies that will allow us to create energy in a more sustainable way, or run our economy in a more sustainable way, that could really give a boost to Estonia's economy. And also, I think if Europe really gets serious about this, then that could boost Europe's economy if you look at the picture worldwide.